All right, just give me a moment here. All messages, show every message, including potential spam. Let me see here. All right, let's take a look at it here. All right, no, we're not going to do no poll starting. All right, we have that there going on. Let me see, at least 1 minute for a video. All right, let me see here. Oops. Okay. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to get started today. This is in regards to the title and things of feminine, conservative, feminine, beautiful women. And I'd like to give a big shout out to the conservative, feminine women out there, and things. No matter what country of origin that you are from, we're going to be talking about it. Conservative, feminine women and things. These are the women that are the most after because of their beauty. They're radiant of femininity, confident, poised, elegant, stylish. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. These are the things that make up a very feminine, beautiful woman and things. So I said I was gonna switch it up a little bit, and this is basically what most men are sought after. It's what they're looking for. It's what they want, you know. But like I said before, these women are in high demand. They're not as easy to obtain. They're not easy to date or find because most of them are already married off. The guys that are in our higher income bracket in the Western world, especially, they marry them off real quick because you got to keep in mind, uh, you know, the guys in the upper echelon, the guys that's making the big bucks, they go and snag these beauties. So this is why it appears to be very difficult and hard to find a conservative, beautiful, elegant woman. I'm talking about for us men. Even though they say there's more women on the planet than there are men, but we do, we are in a challenge. It's a bit of a challenge, keeping it real. Yep, keeping it real. It's a challenge. So we're going to talk about it. So so therefore, all right, all right. Well, hello there. You are welcome to the room. Welcome to the chat. So we're going to talk about it. These much beautiful, conservative, sought after women, like I said before, in the United States and the Western world, many of them are already taken. I always says that. I always say this. Says this. Say this. I always say this all the time. They always have been taken. So it is what it is, and we're going to talk about it. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So therefore, I've always been pushing for the men to get your passports for this reason, because these beauties are in the eastern countries in the world. They do exist, and they're plentiful over there. Because over here in the Western world, where you have the opposite of these feminine beauties, because they're feminine, once again, elegant, they keep up on themselves, and they're very, very submissive to the man. They celebrate the man. So if you're out there busting, and bringing home the bacon, guess what? She's gonna have your back. I know what it's like coming home and having a hot meal, having dinner ready, having stuff prepared for you. And some of you may not ever know what that is like. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's what make you go out and get it harder, right? Because you know that you have someone that has your back. these beauties have your back. You know, it's like the house is taken care of, children are taken care of, and this is what men are looking for, right? Because us as men, we never really change much in regards to tradition. The ones that have changed a whole lot are the opposite of conservative women. And we already know who they are. Those are liberal women. Now, I already talked enough about them, but I'm just saying. But with the conservative women, I like to give a shout out again to all the conservative women. They get it. They understand what it is that I'm talking about. They have no problems though with what it is, what is going on, and they are the ones that are looking for a conservative man, a man that is a guy that goes out here, take care of his business, and so forth. You know, that is confident. You know what I'm saying? In his own, he's confident. He's responsible. He's caring. He's giving. And this is what women want to align themselves with in order to be able to pair bond and have a child or two to leave a legacy, right? Because she's going to be soft, pleasant, spoken. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, though, you know? It reminds me of the time I have, there's a guy that I know, and, he's from Detroit like myself. And he was actually, he's a school teacher in Japan. And I was talking with him. I'm not going to say his name, but I had a conversation with him. And, he's married to a Japanese woman in Japan. And, you know, it's the culture over there he was explaining to me about. And their culture in Japan is different, of course, than it is in America, where tradition is still king. She has a mother and a father, and I believe she is a generation samurai as well. So honor is a very, very important in the Japanese culture for the most part of it, and then how they were raised. And it's something of a breath of fresh air. These conservative values, how she goes out during her day to prepare, to take care of the children and so forth. There are some of the most excellent when it comes down to raising children, Japanese women. Give a shout out to the Japanese woman out there, you know. I'm gonna give a shout out to a lot of women out there, the conservative ones, because they understand. They already had the model already. They've been raised with the model. They understand. They know at no given time, they do not want to be a man. They don't understand feminist women. They don't understand. They said, and I talked with his wife and I asked her questions, but she said she don't understand why has society done this to women and men? Why was this? Why did it happen? And I told her in the simplest form, for control. That's all it was, for control, to put us against each other. I said, you guys are not in direct conflict with each other as the Western world is. This is what I mentioned to her. But for her, I mean, she prepares his meals, draws his bath water, and everything, man. And he looked like, he's been taking care, his wife take care of him so well that he doesn't even look his age. I think he's like 40, but he looked like he could be like early 30s because she takes care of him so well. And she said in their culture, the job is to take care of the man. Because she said when you take care of the man, it makes sense. Because if the golden calf, the golden goose, you can't mess over the golden goose. You have to take care of the golden goose to keep getting the golden eggs. Makes a lot of sense. But in the Western world, they would kill the golden goose. And then once the golden goose is dead and gone, that's the end. Then you got to find another one. It's like, why do that when you can just treat the golden goose good? Like Kobe beef, right? You know, when people have cows, they're like pretty much in a sauna. They get pampered, they get well taken care of, man. You know, they got classical music for the calves and stuff. You know, so it's a wonderful thing to see. They do this so well for the cow. You know what I'm saying? But in a culture, and it's the Japanese society is very interesting. I always find their culture and society to be very, very interesting. It intrigues me how this simplicity as well as the complexity of things and how they balance each other out. It's like everything is in balance. And I said, wow. And it's so true, right? It's amazing. But they have this conservative viewpoints like most women. Like you have here in America, you have these conservative viewpoints as well. Very, very conservative. As you guys can see, it's very wet out here. The rain, the wet, you see. But yeah, man, it just intrigues me. I always been intrigued with conservative, beautiful women anyway. They get it. They understand. But they're in high demand here in the Western world. Because once again, the top earners, they get them just like that. They get them just like that. And I understand. I'm not angry. As men, we understand the game. We get it as men, as it should be. I mean, that's just how it is. If you're in the top earner, of course you deserve the best out there, right? But if there is a problem in a certain area, a certain market, then you got to go where the market is, where the demand is. Not only, I mean, that's where you go. Almost like if you're buying a car. And if you can't seem to find a particular model that you're looking for, then you're going to have to go to markets in order to find what it is that you're looking for. And that's all I've been talking about. I said I'm talking about beautiful, elegant, conservative women and things like that. And some of these beauties in these other countries around the world, even though their cultures are a little different, but at the same time, that in the language, and I know with the language thing, I'm always encouraging guys that when they get their passports to learn the language of your future wife. And then once again, I just want to make it clear because the passport bros have a bad reputation. And I'm here to set the record straight because these guys are the guys that I know, they're looking for a wife. And they're very conservative. They're not into all this stuff. They want to know when they come home that they can have a woman there waiting for them. And they work too. I said, wow, you work? I talked to my friend's wife. Works. She's not just staying home. I mean, she could, but she goes out and work, does her thing, and still find time to come home and take care of the house. Make sure meals are on the table and everything. And he told me, man, that he ate a lot of Japanese food, that he started losing more weight because they eat a lot of seafood. They eat a lot of seaweed and all this other type of stuff. So I'm familiar with some of the diet of the Japanese, and and this disappears. Philippines, they got their own diet. Thailand, they got their own diet. Koreans got their own diet. For those that may or may not like kimchi, which I have eaten many of times. I'm only giving like Ethiopian, man, Ethiopian women too, very beautiful women. They are in a tradition. I'm gonna give a big shout out to the Ethiopian women. Shout out to my Ethiopian women. They are also very conservative. They believe in Christ, God in Christ. They go to church every Sunday and things. What else? This is a country that's very, very interesting in Ethiopia. Ethiopia, they have the staple is coffee, not tea, but coffee, and it's not uncommon at all where you see like two. It's always the Ethiopians do everything when it comes down to company. You'll never really ever see an Ethiopian over there eat by himself. It's usually two or more, and it's a very social uh, experience. They actually do. So when you're in that culture, and if you ever marry, yeah. So I give me a little history. Ethiopia has the complete 81 books as far as the Christianity. Yep, they have all 81 books. So also they have the history intact too. They've never been invaded. They have their whole history intact, and the food is wonderful, man. If you ever had Ethiopian food, yeah, their food is very seasoned, very good stuff. Their food is very good, very good, and they're beautiful people too. You ever marry an Ethiopian woman, you ain't got to worry about her not being conservative. Shoot, that's an understatement. I mean, I love Ethiopia culture. I pick them up in the car time after time and things like that. Yeah, they said that it looked like I could be a little bit Ethiopian. They said that they could see it in my structure and everything, though. I said, well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. They said how handsome I was, and things like that. Even though I was born in America, but I have like, mine is actually. I told them I have actually it's the Gullah Geechee, you know, from South Carolina, where they can trace their ancestry to Angola and Sierra Leone. So, I mean, but I told them I appreciate it though. So that's the thing about that. But going back on Ethiopia, man, they got some beautiful women in these African countries. And right now, whether you black, white, and other, man, they got conservative women all in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Just like they do in Asia. So whatever you may be, let's say, interested in as a man, you're gonna find it over in these Eastern countries in the world, man. You are gonna find it. But I find Ethiopia to be very, very. It's a country that's not very much visited, but they have a very, very tight knit culture, and they also have because they go to church, they're highly spiritual, religious, and that has a lot to do with it as well too. But they do everything social, ladies and gentlemen. Everything is a social experience dealing with Ethiopian in general. And it's very difficult if you're an outsider trying to go in. You can't go straight to the woman. You have to go through the men first. See what I'm saying? You don't get a chance to talk to her. Turkish, and the Turkish is pretty much the same. You can't straight go to Turkish women because you got to deal with Turkish men first. They do that for protection of their women. You don't get a chance to go straight to their women like that. They have to check you out. They have to give their approval first, the way it's supposed to be, right? It's almost like if it's a woman that you were interested in courting, you have to get their fathers or uncles or brothers or some man's approval first. It's bad taste and for a man to go straight to their women like that. I'm just keeping it real now. You just can't go straight to their women trying to get down because it's a level of disrespect, and mostly in the Middle East and all the rest of them, it's the same way. It's a level of disrespect. Men supposed to deal with men before dealing with women. That's the conservative way. Liberal way don't work. You see what I'm saying? Her father, her uncle, her brothers, and anybody that you know what I'm talking, you know I'm telling the truth. You know, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. You know I'm telling the truth. And so, and some of you guys that are not from here, not may not be from the Western or whatever, you know I'm telling the truth. You know what I'm talking about. So, but this is what I'm talking about with the conservative mindset, right? Of these beauties. And you have to deal with the men first. Ethiopia, you're not getting in. You have to befriend the men. And you have to, you may have to go out. They may invite you to church. I've heard that happening a few times. I've been invited myself several times to go to church and things like that. A man in Ethiopia that doesn't go to church, that could be a problem. You see what I'm saying? Because Christianity in Ethiopia is big. Just the whole religious thing, right? It's just how it is. So I'm big up in these countries. I said I was going to do this because it's important for you guys to kind of know what it is. So I had a friend of mine that I went to school with when I was in high school, and he was a good friend of mine. He was born, I think he was born in Ethiopia, and then he came over here. But he's more American than anything. But when I was in high school, I didn't even know very much about Ethiopia, let alone a lot of other African nations back then that I do now. But he invited me over. His mom cooked. Man, she made this thing called braised chicken, Burberry chicken. For my Ethiopian people out here, if you know what I'm talking about, that Burberry chicken, I think it's pronounced. It's a little spicy, but not too overwhelmingly, but not too overwhelmed in spices, but it's very good, very, very good. And the food and the quality, and they got this bread that's really like a flat bread, but it's spongy. It's called injera, and I had injera many of times. People that Ethiopia know what I'm talking about, right? The injera bread is very, very good. They're over there on the East Africa, right? Next to Rwanda and Somalia. Somalia has some beautiful women too. Very conservative. Most of them are Muslim in Somalia. Very beautiful women. And I have had my encounters with the Somali women in Canada. There's a lot of them there in Minnesota as well too. But like I said, you cannot approach these particular women like, and with them you have to be a Muslim. You can't you can't go to them and you know what I'm saying like that. They can't marry a Muslim woman cannot marry a non-Muslim man. A Muslim man can marry a non-Muslim woman according to tradition. Okay, so this is what makes this stuff a little difficult a little bit. But if that could be an issue. However, Ethiopia, they got a little split between Muslim and then they also have Christian. You got a country that's also Christian. Philippines is Catholic, just like people in South America. A lot of them are Catholic, right? You got Catholic, Orthodox Catholic. You have a lot of options out here, gentlemen. You really do. When it comes down to looking for a conservative woman, you have to decide which country that you want to visit. And then when you do visit the country and things like that, you know, I would say, Brett, study up a little bit on the culture. You can do Google Earth and you can take a look and get a glimpse and get a bird's eye view of, like the ruins and the history in a lot of these countries, man, the food. But a lot of them are very sociable in these African countries. They do a lot of them. It ain't just Ethiopia, but That is what you're going to have to do. As opposed to America, we kind of been pushed as the opposite. We don't really do things a lot, even as family no more, which is sad. I was talking with my buddy yesterday about this. But over there, everything is dealing with family, man, and friends. It's a social experience, right? You know, people check up on you. You always gonna be invited to go somewhere. Somebody is always getting married. You look at uh, what is it? Chaldean community, prime example. Because I got some friends that's Chaldean too. They do things very sociable, right? When they do their weddings and everything like that, Middle East, Middle Easterners, Arabs, Chaldeans, it's a big thing when they get married, man. And they're not the only ones. The Greeks do it. The Italians do it. All in that Mediterranean area, this is what they do. It's a social experience, man. And this is what basically what they do. So you may want to maybe perhaps look at some of these countries and ask yourself, is this what you really want? Maybe because there's beautiful conservative women all over. You know, we have them all over. And that's what I'm just basically saying in regards to this. If you concentrate and decide on what it is, what type of woman that you think that will uh, fit with your background. I know a lot of people are race loyal, first and foremost, which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having race loyalty at all. Because when it comes down to it, I mean that's really the first thing about it. I have no problems with it whatsoever. For some of my guys that are black, you may, if it's something more comfortable in African countries or Latin America, and then you may have some of my, guys that are white and other, you may want to do something in some of these other countries, whatever it is that you are into, you know what I'm saying? What it is that you like. I get it. Nothing wrong with it at all. Nothing wrong with interracial either. I don't have any problems with any of it. I'm saying as long as she's conservative, that is what matters, man. These women are very feminine. They wear their hats, they got their sundresses on. They are very, very feminine. They're not trying to be a man. It's like they don't understand Western women philosophy. I have the conversations with them too, and we with my friend and his wife and so forth. I may have my lady friend at the time, but she does not understand it. I'm talking about my friend that's married to a Japanese woman. She don't understand this feminine stuff. She don't. She just never gets it. She don't understand why in the world would a woman want to be a man. That's what she said. She doesn't she don't get it. It's like weird behavior to her. She said, "You mean to tell me that they like being single parent, single family, trying to take care of kids and going out here and working?" I said, "Not really. They really don't." I said, "This is something that they say they try trying to do, but a lot of." I told her this. I said, "A lot of the Western women that follow feminism, they've been tricked. They've been tricked to think that this is absolutely the way. They've been tricked. They really have." Because they've been tricked to accept feminist being this liberal minded. They've been tricked because I've talked to women. I know a lot of women that, and they, what they want, they want to be married, and they don't really want to be out here. A lot of your liberal women really don't want to be out here. They really don't, not like that, because they weren't designed for it in first and foremost. As Kevin Samuels used to always say, and I got to use one of his quotes: stress was made on the shoulders of men, not on hips of a woman. You weren't built for it. We're built for it. Women are not. You are not built for that. It doesn't make you uh, inadequate. I'm talking about for these women right now. It's just that is not your position. And it's hard to convey that in the Western world when you have commercials, TV, Cosmopolitan, what's her name, Girly Brown, and all this other stuff. She was the one that was over the Cosmopolitan magazine that pushed this false ideology about how women can do it. It was this whole feminist movement thing, you know. Girly Brown, you know. Yeah. So they believe in this type of belief system, and that's why women of the East that are conservative. You got women in the Philippines; they don't understand it. I got a very good friend of mine right now, very good dear friend of mine, Filipino. She's Filipina, and she said, "Tony, you are absolutely right about," because she said, "I know you've never been in the Philippines, but the stuff that you talk about, see, we understand it as women because that is our culture as women, where we take care of our man and we cater to our man and so forth." This is what she was telling me. And I said, "Well, it used to be that way here in America too, but things changed. That they were tricked to get into the workforce. You know what I'm saying? I think it was the Rockefellers that ended up doing this, but they wanted to have a double taxation because at the time men were the only ones going to work, so they had to come up with some type of plan to get the women into the workforce. And I think it happened after World War II, I do believe, but it was designed to get the women into the workforce. And when they did, the government was getting a double taxation for men and women versus just getting it for men. But they had to come up with some type of agenda to get the women and all this other kind of stuff, right? And that's basically what ended up happening. And they've been in the workforce ever since, right? Because I know most women, they would rather be at home, instead of having to get out here and work, especially if you're a single mother. It's very, very difficult now trying to be a single mother and raise children on your own with no assistance, no man at all. That's very difficult. I don't care what nobody say. That's very, very difficult, especially for a woman. It's even worse. You got to find a babysitter and you got to rely on family, burning out family and stuff like that. And America used to be family oriented. It's not anymore. And that's another sad thing. Hopefully, these values can return again back to America. I really, uh, I'm really seeing that that's going to happen because now that we have somebody that's going to take us into the golden age and stuff like that, and I can see that really actually going through. But yeah, just talking about some stuff, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we are with this thing. We have conservative, beautiful women. That's the thing about it. It's a beautiful thing. If you ever been around these beauties, you'll know what I'm talking about. And at some point, we have seen them before. They do exist. They're here in America, but they're very difficult to get a hold of because you got the top elite of the men that hit them first. There's nowhere in the world she gonna be 21, 22. Somebody like Leonardo DiCaprio gonna get her first. In fact, that's all he dates. He don't date anybody over 25. And that's just him, keeping it real. And you have other guys that are like that too. They don't, you know what I'm saying? But you don't have to have that type of money necessarily. It's not game over. That's why I say the men they have to get their passports because the conservative women over here are already taken. It's too much of it's not enough demand over here for that. It is, but it's too much demand. It's not enough availability is what I'm trying to say. It's not enough availability, and we need to go into a market, or you need to go into a market where there's way more availability in order for what it is that you really want. Because I done already went on that tangent before about the feminine, and I don't want to keep banging that out. I'm just talking more about the answers and the solutions to our age-old problem as men. And as a man, we deserve it because we over here working hard. I mean, yeah, a man can go through life without having a woman, but why do that, man? Well, you need to have some type of, something at home waiting for you, loving on you. Why do that? Yeah, we can do that, but why do that? You know what I'm saying? Why go through life being like a hermit type stuff? It's no sense, you know. So that's what I'm saying about this whole thing that I said I was going to talk more about the conservative women and things like that, how they prepare things and set things up. My friend, when he went to work and when they lived over here in America, to my friend that's married to a Japanese woman, they're over here maybe about a month or so, a couple of months before they moved back to Japan. And she would make his lunch for him. He took his lunch to work, and all of the other men were so jealous of him because you know how when you and I used to work, when we had to have lunch breaks, and you could always tell what some people would have for lunch. People would eat out. People would have a bologna sandwich and some potato chips and an apple. And this guy got some like exotic stuff. He got maybe a little bento box with a little sushi or sashimi or some other type of stuff, and it'd be very, very healthy too. I mean, the way that they do things because they eat a lot of seafood, a lot of seaweed, other things where they're getting calcium, magnesium, potassium. They're getting all these main zinc. They're getting a lot of these main like minerals, trace minerals, and things like that in the food. And this is why they're so healthy. Another thing that I learned about Japan is that if you ever were working over there, they have in the government, the Japanese government, it is required that everybody have a weight. They have to be able to. They take a physical. Your job and your company will require you to do a physical, and once a year. And if you can't pass the physical, the company is going to be fined a lot of money. So it's imperative and important for a man and woman to make sure that his weight is down, make sure that he's healthy, and make sure that, and I'm not kidding, this is exactly what it is, though, too. And sometimes if they do go over, they know the physical is coming up, they'll get themselves back in shape before the physical. I'm not kidding. This is exactly in their society how they do things and stuff like that. So I'm talking about their job, their company is requiring a physical. And maybe America may go to that point eventually because once again, they want to definitely they're investing in Japan. You are an investment to the company. You're like an asset instead of just being a regular employee with a number, right? Like they do over here in America, especially. They don't really treat their employees well at all, really. In some of these companies, they just treat them as a number, and it's just really sad. But over there, you're a lot more than that, though. You are an investment. That's the true human resource. This over here is just title. Over there, it's actually doing it. It's a big difference. And I'm just using them as an example too, because I find that that has a lot of relevancy of what I'm talking about. But getting back to the women now, the feminine women and things like that, and I know a lot of you guys are feeling the conservative thing versus liberal thing. There's no way in the world I would want that. I don't. No way, no way. I'm even attracted. I've always been attracted to conservative women. Because they exude they're feminine, they exude uh, feminism. You know what I'm saying? They are very feminine. Trying to get that out. Yeah, very feminine. They exude it. You know what I'm saying? Every single day. It's no active. I'm gonna be nice to you. Let me put my other earbud on. Hold on for one moment. These things be dying, man. Okay. Better quality in my home studio. Yeah, so they're very feminine, man. Very, very feminine. the way that they dress, and so forth. So um, it's just a whole different the women of the world, man. South America, even far as down in South America, it's the same thing. So you may have a language barrier. That's why I always say try to learn the language because that should be on your list. Getting a passport is the first thing. And then the second thing, you have to decide which country you're going to go and visit. Most people just go to South America, somewhere that's kind of close, and I get it. But you got to learn some Spanish. And Spanish is really not that hard to learn if you commit to it and things, though. So um, there are some languages that I have been exposed to because I have been exposed to Japanese on language only because I was in my homeroom and there my friend that was a Japanese exchange student, Toshi Matsumoto, and he was teaching me some Japanese, like the alphabet and all the rest of that stuff. And I still remember some of this stuff. Then I bought some books on Japanese and so forth. Um, Even though I know a little bit more Chinese and Japanese for sure. But like I said before, these are the things that you can actually learn in language because that's going to it's going to set you further ahead. Because when you're dealing with foreign women, the number one thing they want you to be able to do effectively is to speak to their parents in their own language because now you become one of them. They accepted you through their daughter, and you're part of that bloodline now. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all gonna have children together. So this is how they look at it. This is what been told to me. So that's why the language is very very important to know because you're gonna have a child with her daughter and you, and that's where the bloodline is together. And it's better to know the language, at least try to make some type of effort so therefore, you can be able to speak to her parents and things like that, because that's going to be very important. Speaking to her parents in her own language. So it's a beautiful thing, you know. You know, I love their little kimonos. I have found that Japanese women are the most feminine women on the planet, man. One of them, and it just blows me away, man. It's like wow. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like your jaw drop because you got to understand, man. It's obvious that I'm a black male, right? I grew up in the black community. We don't experience women like this at all. We don't. Not like that. Not that feminine. No way at all. We got the total opposite. And I'm gonna tell you, man, it's a breath of fresh air. These women like that are, man, they take it, they just grabbed up just like that. But they have so many of them that are single. And I said, dang. And this is just Japan. And the women of the world, man, it's like there's way more women over there than it is over here. I mean, there's women over here too. There's a lot of women over here. It's just the thing about it is that you run across the same old mundane. I ain't gonna go into that, but you know what I'm talking about. But over there, man, feminism, man, just very feminine. You know what I'm saying? Feminine, not feminism. I'm talking about feminine. Feminine women, man, soft, delicate, and this is what the men like. It's his nature, man. You have yin and you have yang, one masculine, one feminine. And I'm gonna tell you, man, you guys know what I'm talking about. That's what get wiped up. We're not talking about going over there having a rolling around in the bed. We're talking about for marriage, and that's what I'm trying to explain to some of these women because it's a big misunderstanding about the passport bros. And I'm here to set the record straight because not all of us is on that type of stuff. I'm not on those programs like that. You know, we are looking for something so we can have a legacy. You know, you can't build a legacy if a woman does not want that. And it's going, you have to go somewhere where the market is. These are marriage-minded women that are willing to submit to a man. That's what I'm talking about. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we always have looked at. We always wanted that. But if we're having troubles trying to find that and get that, then you may have to travel. Because as a black man, my social circle is very, very small. I'm in competition with a lot of high earning men. Um, and then let's be honest. Remember, I said before, people are race loyal in a lot of these Western world, man. It is what it is. They're race loyal. So it's going to be a challenge to try to find some real quality or whatever. So therefore, having my passport, which is what I have, then I got a friend of mine that worked for the airline, so I'm gonna get a little hooked up on that when it comes down to traveling. That way, and I plan on doing that, and I'm gonna do my videos like I'm doing right now, being in these other countries. And my cousin been to Japan; she been over there, you know. And then over there in Japan too, she said that they have a lot of serenity and a lot of peace. I mean, it's crazy that you could be at a coffee shop and leave your laptop out and go use the restroom and come back out and not find it disappearing. I said to myself, I never known what it was like to be in a society like that. I said, wow. I said, that's amazing right there. You know, we have stresses over here and things like that. And then I'm also want to talk about the blue zones as well too. The blue zones are areas in the Mediterranean where the food quality is very, very superior. They have like you know, when you go over there like Italy, right, or Greece, in the Grecian islands, where you actually have real olives, right? You have those olives, and you have a garden. I'm talking about a true garden salad, picking your Romanian lettuce right out of the garden and getting your produce straight out of the garden just to have a real garden salad. I never in my life experienced that before, but they have it in these blue zone areas. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of those areas where senior citizens live a lot longer. They got a place in Okinawa, Japan, right? They call them centennials, and these are people that's 100 years plus in Okinawa and these other places. And it's almost as if life have slowed down for them. They are living for a very long time, and they're still getting around. And they have a whole group of these centennials. That's what they call them, by the way. But they have lived a very long time. So they don't have the hustle and bustle and dealing with a lot of stress and dealing with a lot of other stuff in things. And they've been doing this for a long time. And I would love to talk to some of them because, you know, seniors in America is not really valued very much at all. They kind of consider them throwaway, which is sad. But in these other countries, they consider to be very valuable in things because they have lived a long time. We used to be like that, but not anymore. You know, not anymore and things. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. But going back on the feminine women and things like that, shout out to the feminine women. This is the type of stuff that what men are truly looking for. They want that in their lives. And like I said before, if we can't seem to find it here, you may have to be considered going elsewhere to find these dolls, you know, these gorgeous beauties because they do exist. And they have a plethora of them to pick and choose from and things like that because they're trying to get married. They have them all over the world and things like that. And this is why women that are feminist, they are trying to shun you and keep you from going over in these other areas. And they rather talk bad about you. So if you're some type of weak-minded simp of a guy, afraid of approval seeking and trying to appease them, as opposed to just doing what's right, because it's not about what they say and think. You know, you think it matters what they say about me? No, absolutely not. Because I know I'm on to something, right? when the stuff that I'm sharing with you this evening about feminine women, women that are very, very feminine. They take care of themselves, dress very well. They take care of themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that because those women are the women that want to be married. It's just the problem is there's not enough men over in these other countries that are marrying them. So it's our duty as a man to have to do what we have to do. And I don't see nothing wrong with it though, man. To get yourself a beautiful woman, it's even worth learning a language or two in order to achieve that goal. I don't see nothing wrong with it at all. You know, you're not hurting anybody. But like I said before, the passport, I just want to let you guys know that is your solution. Because white guys, you guys are in trouble too. And some of you other ethnic groups too, especially if you're in the Western world, you're in trouble too. It hit our community hard, man. We ain't got no choice. I got to roll. Now maybe if I was a white guy, I could probably stand the rain a little bit. But here, as a black man, my dating options are very slim to none, man. I'm being really honest. And I'm not a bad looking man at all. But there's a lot of other things that are prohibiting of me with success because conservative women are they're very much on demand here in America. And the guys that's the top earning dudes, they get them. They're not complaining. It's the ones that the money situation, right? So that's why I say we can go to these other countries and do what they've been doing while they're over here in the Western world. We can go to some of these Eastern cultures and get some of the success. And that's what I've been encouraging men to do. We have to get ourselves together, get ourselves in shape, and things like that. So therefore, we could be able to have a better quality experience going over here to these other countries and things like that. Because I already know from the brothers, man, it's rough. We really don't have a whole lot of options at all. You already seen. You don't. That ain't what you want. You don't want that here. No, we don't want that. You know what I'm saying? It's bad. So that's why I started talking about some of these women of the world and stuff like that. For some of them, they understand. These other women and things like that. These other women in these countries, if they heard me mention and speaking, they know. They know they wifed up like that. They already are wifed up. And that's really what it's about. It's about being married, having children, taking care. She's gonna take care of you, you're gonna take care of her. And this is the way it always been. But America have lost their way when it comes down to things of tradition. And this is what's sad, that these Western worlds are losing their tradition when it comes down to the sanctity of marriage and men and women. They really are losing their way and things like that. So like I said, it's not the end of the world, gentlemen. You do have options, and I would suggest doing that. Don't worry about what they say about this and that. Oh, they're just going to use me for my money. No, it has a lot to do with you more so than about them. As long as you're confident and long as you know what it is that you want, that's the main thing. Some of you have your college education, depending on what field you are in. That's why I've been pushing with the brothers IT, so you can be able to have a leg up financially. You deserve happiness as well, though, you know, because it's not going to, working at McDonald's, you do what you got to do, but nothing is going to come good out of there. You just have to use that as a stepping stone in order to be able to get you to a better place. Got to put the work in and put the time in for something better. That's just how it is, though. I don't talk about a whole lot about what these women are not doing and all this other stuff. I just did that video so I could be able to get a lot of you guys' attention and things like that. Now that I have some of you guys' attention and that you know what I'm talking about. And I appreciate the things like that. I know a lot of these are not popular uh, points of conversation, But I think it is though, because there are some guys out there that are feeling what I'm talking about. The passport is the main key. Learning the language is number two. Getting into IT is number three. Getting into some type of cryptocurrency and dividends and other type of investments, that is number four. These are the things that every man could be working on to build themselves up. I would not do this for a woman that's not worth a damn. I would do it for somebody that's worth something, because that'll just put you further ahead. You have to keep in mind when you're going into these other countries of the world, you're not going to be going over there as a beggar. You're going to be going over there with your head up, confident, because the U.S. dollar is very very strong. It's going to put you up there in the top upper echelon of men. You could be able to walk around in these other countries like how the men over here walk around, and that's really what I'm talking about. To be able to get that and be able to experience that, absolutely. So there that is. So I just wanted to talk about that. I'm only gonna do this thing for about an hour and stuff. It'll always look almost looking like about an hour. And I appreciate some of you guys that are coming in, listen to what I have to say or whatever. Some of this stuff may be old hat. Some of you guys may find this cool or entertaining, whatever it is. Give a shout out or hey or whatever like that. That's cool. So I appreciate it. I just trying to put out these videos I'm sorry, these lives as I possibly can, and things, that stuff that I think that's going to show people relevant, have some type of relevancy. And I think I bigged up the conservative women enough, and I'm gonna be doing more of that with a lot of these conservative women, because they do deserve it, and things like that. They have a different mindset than these liberal-minded feminists. There is a big difference. And the ones that I'm talking about for the conservative women, very feminine in their energy, very soft spoken, look good, feel good, and that is what most men are attracted to. I thank you guys for listening to some random guy speaks and things like that. So I wanted to cut this one a little short, but you stay tuned to the next one that I do, and I'm just trying to make it make sense for you guys. Peace. And please please like, please comment as well. I appreciate it. Thank you.